Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Keep those questions and suggestions coming. I get to them as soon as I possibly can. Now, one of the coolest new features that was added in firmware 1.2.56 is the dim function. Now you can choose dim in addition to off and the other 8 colors that are available for the LED color rings around the foot switches. This is another one of those updates that's particularly meaningful for those folks that are coming from Fractal and Helix modelers. Now, in case you still aren't sure what I'm talking about when I mention the dim function, well, let's say that you have the green box set up in your preset and that you have a foot switch set up for it. Normally, when you look at it, the active state would be like maybe green, but the inactive state would be off. Now, instead of off, you can choose dim. What that means is that particular foot switch will be dim green when it's inactive and bright green when it's active. Now, this may be the coolest thing since sliced bread for you, or you may not care about it at all. Me, I'm in the sliced bread group. Yeah, I really do think it's another important update. I've been seeing some posts around in the various groups where some of you folks are still not quite sure on how to set up dim. Let's open up the Pro Control app and see how we can set this up. I'm going to be using the new Brit 800 rig preset for this video. You'll find it right after Walk That Way in the Fender Factory preset list. I already saved it in my presets, but before we edit it, we're going to make a change to one of the global settings. Click on the gear icon in the upper right corner, then click on Foot Switch. Now we're in the Foot Switch settings panel. The last option, Default Foot Switch Assign Inactive Color, is currently set to off. Let's click on off, and as you can see, right underneath off, we have dim, so we'll choose dim. And as long as I'm in here, I'm going to change the active color from red to blue. Now, whenever you create a new preset and use foot switches, when they're inactive, they'll be dim instead of off. That can be really useful on stage if your eyes aren't good enough to read the scribble strips. You know, you could color code your foot switches. For example, you could set all your dirt pedals as red, set your delay pedals as blue, and set your reverbs as purple. Then when you look down, you'll know exactly what each foot switch is by the color being used, even if it's currently bypassed. Now, another thing you need to understand about the dim function is that even if you have it set up in the global settings, it won't change any of your old presets. You'll have to edit those presets if you plan on using the dim function in any one of them. Okay, let's get back to the preset by clicking the back arrow. Click on Foot Switch Assign, then click on Drive. Go to Color Inactive/B and click on Off. Change that to dim. Save your preset. Okay, I'm going to update the rest of the foot switches, and then we'll move to the Tone Master Pro, because the Pro Control app doesn't display dim rings yet. Okay guys, now we are at the Tone Master Pro, and I have pulled up the factory version of the Brit 800 rig, and you can see that the only foot switch that's lit up is reverb. All right, let's switch over to my version of the preset now. This is my version of the Brit 800 rig preset. You can see that the reverb LED is still lit up, but the other 5 are all using the dim function now. Let's see what this preset sounds like. This is what it's like when you just boot it up. So that's the dim function, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, I do hope that my explanation of the dim function made sense to you, but if you're still having some issues with it, drop me a line and I'll see what I can do to help you out on it. Now, I've recently put out videos on switchless bypass, switch link, and now the dim function. There are so many new additions, updates, and fixes to firmware 1.2.56 that it took me 5 minutes to read them out loud. So if there's anything in particular that you'd like me to cover, drop me a comment here and I'll do my best to get to it. Now, of course, I'll be having all new content next Wednesday. You don't want to miss that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll be talking with you again next week.